my children, I have 3 older male children that have already graduated Wake County Public Schools, and I have a current 9-year-old in the 3rd grade at Forestville Elementary School. Today I just wanted to say that these stories seem a bit far-fetched until it comes to your front door. I need to help everyone to understand one thing. This is generational. You're looking at a Wake County Public School student who had a teacher beat her until her skin broke. And my mother had to come to the school, so help, just let me slow down a second because I have myself together. So these stories may sound a little bit exaggerated and exaggerated, but it's not. So you move from me, from the Wake County Public School student, until this day, I question myself when I write, even though people tell me I write well. Because I had a 5th grade teacher that took my paper because I couldn't understand how to write King's Dominion the right way, to just erase my paper till it ripped and threw it at me. Then you go to my children, who are 3 sons that I had, and one son about this 3rd grade told me that he was going to kill himself at school. Why? Because the teacher was so militant and so mean, and he was bullied every day in school. Son was thrown, as twin boys, kids would throw balls at my kid's head on the playground. My husband and I would go to the school and we would say, hey, let's sit down. Let's see how we can work this out together. They couldn't do anything. They wouldn't do anything. My sons would say, Mommy, these kids still keep throwing balls to my head. To this day, my son suffers mental health issues, and he couldn't play basketball and football because if you throw a ball at him, he automatically begins to flinch. He even went and was bullied, even in high school. And the principals tried to, we talked about it, and they tried to set some things in place, but it still did not work. That even in front of the SRO officer and the administrator, that kids attacked him and he flipped. And he doesn't even remember to this day that he was on top of a kid beating him. But had not they had seen it with their own eyes, they would have suspended him for a long time. So 0 tolerance policies do not work. He was suspended for 2 days, but only because that's what the system said. So now I have a 9-year-old that is in school, and he hates to go to school every single day. He's a level 4 student. He scores high on all tests given, and he came into the system already achieving on a high level. So I urge my elected officials that I see here today, you know who I am, you know my integrity, you know what I stand for. These stories are not expanded to disbelief. They're true. I lived it and vowed to train every parent that I could to know what to do to advocate for themselves. It is amazing that you actually literally have to go through it. And so my children to this day take certain medications and deal with certain things. And when I went through the steps. This is how I learned how to advocate. I had to go through the steps, and the psychologist told me at Hollinsville, if you send your child back to school, he will kill himself because the plan is already laid out. And if you know anything about mental health, and I'm in that field, if they tell you how they're going to do it, they are going to do it. So I know what it feels like. It's not made up stories, it's truth. And there are ways that we can change certain things. We might not can't change all things. We can't dismantle all systems. But there are things that we can do in our community, within our own school boards, within our own school systems, that we can help and change things. And the first thing and the last thing I'm going to say is that, no disrespect to my board member that is here. I thank you for being here. David Cox of the City Council, I thank you for being here. But if you all stand up and say certain things will not be tolerated, it will send a trickle-down effect to the superintendents that are under your leadership, to the people within your leadership, to understand they now have a clear-cut understanding. Oh, the people that tell us what what to do under their governance are not going to allow certain behaviors. All you have to do is stand up and make a statement. I don't know what kind of statement you need to make. I'll send you some suggestions in a week or two. But what I'm saying, if you just simply stand up and say, it will not be tolerated, and make sure that those who are under your leadership are governed to have a clear understanding. Hold on, these stories are too common. And I'm telling you, it's generational. I'm generational, and I just had a grandbaby. So do you think I want to send my baby back to Wake County Public Schools?